This footage out of northern Vanuatu after Cyclone Harold blew through that area here the last 24 hours. Actually, where this footage was shot, that island, about 30,000 people on it, and they felt the wrath of this Category 4 to Category 5 storm system. The good news, it is now moving towards the east. You can see that here on infrared satellite imagery. Slowly weakening, but by no means weak. You can see that here on visible satellite imagery. You still have that really eye wall wrapping up in here. Now the eye is beginning to get filled in, so one reason why we are assuming this is continuing to weaken out here, but you still have all this inflow from the north, plenty of moisture. And for those out here in Fiji, just off there towards the east, you are going to be watching this because it is going to move just south of you as we go ahead over the course of the next 72 hours. And actually, let's take a look at current intensity of winds of 135, gusting to 160 knots, pressure 910 millibars. I mean, this is super typhoon type stuff right here, my friends. But take a look at the track from JTWC. That's where it's peaking. It is going to continue to weaken off here. So by the time it passes just south of Fiji there, winds are still going to be over 100 knots sustained. And I do think you're at least going to see tropical storm strength winds on the western side of that island. But it is definitely going to be the potential of some straight up typhoon equivalent, hurricane equivalent strength winds, and that risk of storm surge as that pushes on by. So keeping a close eye on this one, my friends. It is not over by any means. I do want to talk about the impact out here, though, on Vanuatu and the Solomon Islands, for that matter, because 27 deaths have been reported there from this storm. It rapidly intensified after passing by the Solomons and just maintained, and it actually just went through another period of rapid intensification the last 24 hours before now starting to weaken off. But the key thing is, when it was in this period right in here, it tracked basically like this right through that area, and that's when these winds wrapped around. I know I said yesterday a few hundred people lived here on Northern Island, and somebody corrected me, and what I really meant is these bay right in here. This is why I'm showing it here. This is kind of what I meant. Not a lot of people here. Now, where you saw that video, that's where that was shot right there, and that area just got the right front of the storm system pushing overhead. About 17,000 people live in that specific spot there, and then eventually moving off here towards the east, where just still thousands of more people, a lot of towns and cities in many of these areas. And just off screen towards the south, that's where Port Vila is. So just kind of give you an idea of the people that were impacted by this storm system as it moved overhead. So at least at this time, 27 deaths have been reported from the storm. Significant damage reported there in the northern island of Vanuatu, and Port Vila still remained further towards the south as this tracks towards the east. And taking a look at the forecast, there's the track from JTWC pulling it towards the south of Fiji. But what I want to do is take that off of there and just kind of give you the precipitation here as this moves off there towards that easterly projection. Going ahead, actually I'll take the winds off too, kind of give you an idea where the center is going to be passing just towards the south of the islands there. This still puts you in that right front quadrant. That means some of these areas could be looking at some very heavy rain. I mean, we're talking 1 to 2, 3 inches per hour. We're about 1 to 2 inches per hour showing on this particular model, thanks to uplift in some of the higher elevations on the western slopes. That's where also the highest winds are going to be out there in Fiji, as those winds wrap around and just cruise right on shore. So some of these bays and inlets on the western slopes of the island, including the largest city there of Nadi, are going to be impacted as well. So I mean, there's still a lot going on. The storm system may be weakening and may be passing Vanuatu, but it by no means is over with out here, my friends. So of course, if you have any questions, comments, some feedback, please let me know. I know that my friends in Vanuatu here, they have been putting some pretty nice comments on here. If I'm saying something wrong, or if you feel like I'm missing out on some information, I do not feel ashamed in admitting that. Yesterday I mentioned about the population in northern Vanuatu. It came off very incorrect, and you know what, to be honest, I wasn't sure about some of the areas, so I really appreciate some of that feedback as well. Only way you learn, get better with these. I usually don't do the southern hemisphere very often, but I've been stuck inside a lot lately, so just doing my best to keep posted on these storms. So for my friends out there in Fiji, let's keep an eye on this one. It's coming towards you next. As always, people, stay safe out there.